Hey guys, it's Adrian. Today we're going to talk about the Second Amendment. So the Second Amendment starts off just like the Constitution itself with a preamble. A well-regarded, regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Both constitutional statements contain preambles each of which has left itself its own legacy. So the importance of the Second Amendment. American colonists were worried of the growing British military presence in the colonies during the American Revolution era. The lessons of the English and European history was not lost on the colonials, who wanted to be independent of, though in this suspicious British monarchy and their military. By the end of the 18th century, the newly created United States had both a new constitution and a Bill of Rights. Looking back into what the colonies went through with the British presence in the states, it is no wonder why they added the Second Amendment to the Constitution. Was it to protect themselves from governments like Britain, or in the past, or in the future? Having the right to bear arms helped Americans gain a market for new and improved firearms going into the 19th century, so it actually helped the Americans later on. So the challenges with the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms is that the amendment leaves a lot of questions into how to interpret the law, and exactly what the founding fathers believed when they made this law, or amendment I should say, when they first wrote it. The debate over the Second Amendment is whether it protects the right of the individuals or to possess arms, or is it collective right as a state to maintain militias free from federal interference. So there's several court cases that are huge on the Second Amendment. The case of District of Columbia versus Heller, the plaintiffs in this case challenged the ban on guns in the nation's capital. This happened in 2008, but earlier in 2007, a lower court ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, affirming that the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution protects an individual rights to keep and bear arms, and that the district's ban on handguns, firearms in the home, and possession of loaded or operated firearms for self-defense violates that right. The District of Columbia has appealed. They appealed the U.S. Supreme Court, which began arguments in 2008. This case is important because it marks the first time a Second Amendment challenge has been reached in the Supreme Court since 1939. The case in 1939 was United States versus Miller. The court indicated that the Second Amendment guaranteed a collective right of states rather than individual rights. So it was a little bit of mix. You know, the 1939 case was individuals, and then Heller is saying, you know, they were going against that. So the U.S. Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia, they struck down the district's gun ban held in the case of Parker versus D.C. And the phrase, "the right of the people," leads us to conclude that the right in the question is the individual. This was the second time in recent history that a federal circuit court upheld the long-standing belief that the Second Amendment was an individual right. So the applications to modern society, is that Americans believe that they have the right to bear arms. However, there have been many issues over the years with gun control, and that's today. They feel like they have the right to bear arms, but then there's no gun control, so that's where the government is having the issues. So I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope you have a great weekend.